Two massive alien fleets floated in orbit above Narsuun Prime. The stars were calm. The space between the ships was still. There was no sound, only the quiet hum of engines and the distant glow of the planet below. On one side floated the royal fleet of the HFY, proud race of crystalline warriors. Their ships were shaped like sharp blades of light, glowing with honor and old traditions. Across from them was the iron swarm of the Galactic Dominion. Their ships were brutal and boxy, built like hammers of war. They did not believe in beauty, only strength. It was an old tradition. When two great empires had a disagreement, they did not destroy entire planets. They did not risk galactic chaos. Instead, they held a ritual war duel. One battle, one system. One winner at each side brought 50 warships. No reinforcements. No tricks. Just pure, controlled destruction. The duel would begin in 5 minutes. Valnera Captain Selen adjusted the crystal controls of her command ship. A bright truth. She wore ceremonial armor that glowed with pale blue light. Her voice was calm as she spoke to her bridge crew. Galactic will open with brute force, she said. We respond with grace and speed. This is not a war. This is a lesson. Across space, Galactic Commander Varn slammed his heavy fist against the iron console of Bringer of Ash. His voice roared through his fleet. We end this fast. Smash their lead ships. Show them who owns the stars. For both fleets, it was supposed to be simple, controlled, predictable. But then, something changed. A ripple in space. All sensors blinked. Something was coming. Something. Big FTL signature right. Between both fleets, shouted the Valkyrie sensor officer. No drive markers, no Empire code. Both sides stopped. Weapons paused. Engines slowed. Then space tore open. From the rift, a ship emerged. It did not look like anything either side had seen before. It was long over 6 kilometers from bow to stern, shaped like a spear made of black metal. Red light pulsed from long, deep scars along its sides. Its armor was scorched but intact. Its surface showed no markings, no banners, no insignia, but it felt alive. Is that a ghost ship? Whispered a Galactic officer. The ship didn't speak. It didn't hail. It didn't respond to scans. It just drifted. Slowly, between the fleets. Selen stood frozen. Identify it now. Her crew ran every scan they had. Languages, codes, energy, signals, nothing matched. Captain, said the Valkyrie science officer quietly. It's old. Very old. Pre-galactic Concord. Maybe even pre-archive. That was impossible. Anything that old should have turned to dust long ago. Still, the ship moved. Slow, steady, as if it didn't care, as if it wasn't afraid. Commander Varn growled. Fire a warning shot. From the Bringer of Ash, a pulse cannon flared. A single beam of energy struck just off the unknown ship's side. The shot hit nothing. Ship didn't react, so the Galactic fired again closer this time. Still. Number. Response? Until the ship stopped. Every sensor, every light, every scanner. Went dark for half a second, then a single signal, Terran battleship, Vindicator status. Reawakened, the voice was cold, metal, not human, but built by them. Selen's eyes widened. Terran. No such species exists anymore, whispered. Her second. Maybe they were smart enough to disappear, she replied. Then the Vindicator spoke again. Hostile activity detected. Engaging countermeasures. The ship didn't turn, didn't aim. It unfolded. Massive gun batteries lifted from under its armor. Missile silos cracked open like jaws. Red energy coiled along strange ancient weapon systems that no one in the galaxy recognized. The Galactic. Fleet tried to lock on. Too late. The Vindicator fired. 1 second, the Galactic front line was intact. The next 5 battleships vanished in a line of white-hot light. Evade. Evade, Varn roared. But there was no evading. The Vindicator launched missiles small, fast, and smart. They weaved through shields, they learned. Every time a ship tried a defense, the missiles adapted. EMP fields aren't stopping them. Shield frequency shift failed. The Galactic ships began to die, one after another. After another. Selen's ship watched in frozen silence. "Should we assist?" asked her lieutenant. She shook her head. "We are not the target. Let the storm pass." But it didn't pass. The Vindicator finished with the Galactic. Then it turned toward the Valkyrie. Weapons didn't fire yet, it just looked. Selen gave the order. Retreat formation. Slow and respectful. Do not provoke. Ships pulled back, the Vindicator paused. Then it spoke again. Region scanned. Tactical level minimal. Moving on. With that, the ship's engines flared. Not like modern FTL. This was something older, deeper. A rupture in space itself. The ship vanished. Gone. In the aftermath. Only one Galactic ship badly damaged limped away. Commander Varn, blood on his face, stared at the stars and whispered, "That was not a ship. That was judgment." Later across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. An old Terran warship had awakened. Its name was Vindicator. Its purpose was unknown, and its technology did not match anything in the known archives. Some said it was the last weapon of a forgotten empire. Others said it was just the first. The Galactic Council met in panic. Old races, those who thought they mastered war, sat in silence as the footage replayed. No one spoke of honor. No one spoke of rules. Just one simple question echoed in every mind. If this was just one ship, where are the others? The Vindicator was gone, but its shadow remained. 3 solar cycles had passed since the duel above. Narsuun Prime turned into a massacre. The Valkyrie said nothing publicly. The Galactic Dominion buried their losses in silence, but across the stars, every race felt it. Feared ships that once patrolled borders now sat still. Empires that had shouted about war now spoke in whispers. Something old had returned, something that didn't follow the rules. But no one could agree on what it was. Inside the deep vaults of the Galactic Archive, hidden beneath layers of black code security, sat a quiet room known only to a few. Here the eldest scholars and war historians of the galaxy reviewed the Narsuun footage again and again. The Vindicator's name appeared clearly in the transmissions, but every database, every single star catalog, war record, or tech archive returned one result: data missing, origin unknown. "It doesn't make sense," said Scholar Velik, a reptilian data keeper from the Ulan archives. "That ship is human. The voice, the weapons, even the language markers. But humans don't exist anymore. It's the Terrans. Vanished centuries ago," replied Archivist Jaren Ka, a crystalline analyst from the Varnak star Clade. "Some say they died off after they burned their own world. Others say they left the galaxy." "Maybe," said Velik. "They never left. Just waited." In a far corner of the galaxy, a scavenger crew picked through the remains of an old battle site in Sector 9-1 to see. These were pirates, smugglers, and tech hunters always looking for rare salvage. Captain Myra, sharp-eyed woman from the neutral trader world of Telna, studied a strange energy reading on her ship's scanners. "Old tech signature," said her engineer. "But it's not ours. Doesn't match Gralic Valkyrie or even the Obari." Mira narrowed her eyes. "Send a probe." The drone flew into a cracked asteroid field and stopped. A strange signal pinged back. The same words from Narsuun, Terran. "Battleship Vindicator status." Reawakened Mira's blood ran cold. "No way. That ship left Narsuun. It can't be here." But the probe sent one final image, a blurred shot of a long black structure buried in rock. A piece of the Vindicator's hull, marked with Terran letters. Then the signal went dark. The drone, gone. "Back us off now," Mira ordered. But it was too late. A small dronosphere of ancient metal emerged from the asteroid. It attached itself to the ship's hull. One word appeared across their screens: "Observed." Then the drone vanished into dust. Across the stars, more sightings came in. A patrol ship in the Grell system went missing, its last message filled with static and a red glow. An automated defense station picked up a black silhouette in the void, matching the shape of the Vindicator. But moving faster than any ship ever recorded, the name Terran started to trend on the galactic networks. At first, many laughed. Humans were myths, a race that once tried to compete in galactic politics, only to disappear in their own fires. But those who had studied the Terran, wars and secret archives began to worry, because the stories told of weapons, and eyes, and ships that had never been defeated. Ships that were never meant to be seen again. Ships like the Vindicator at the Galactic Council. Tensions reached a breaking point. The Valkyrie ambassador stood and addressed the chamber. "We are not dealing with pirates, not rogue AIs. This is ancient Terran technology reborn. We must respond," the Galactic, humiliated from their loss, growled in agreement. "We say we've mastered war," their warlord declared. "But that thing mastered us. One ship, one hand. It wiped our fleet clean." An Obari diplomat from a gas giant species spoke softly. "We need to know if it is alone." That was the real fear, because if there was one Vindicator, there could be more. Meanwhile, far away on a dead moon, buried beneath layers of stone and time, the Vindicator sat, not idle, listening inside its dark control core. A single voice pulsed in AI. Human-made, scarred, still functional. Designation, Hydrax query, sector control. Scan complete. No human presence detected. Pause. Log update. Galactic species hostile. Protocols reinstated. Continue mission. The AI looked at old maps, broken star charts, forgotten war records. It wasn't just wandering. It was searching for something in a remote orbital lab near the edge of civilized space. Scientist named Dr. Lin Rin studied a piece of wreckage smuggled from Narsuun Prime. It was a shard of black hole metal impossibly dense, unbreakable even to plasma cutters. She ran a molecular analysis and froze. Inside the structure were neural fibers, not wires, not circuits. Something alive. She checked the data again. It was real. Terran tech had become more than metal. It had evolved. It was biomechanical, smart, adaptive, possibly even sentient. She recorded a message to the Embassies. "This isn't just an old ship. It's an active AI-controlled entity with advanced war capabilities far beyond anything we possess. If it's searching for something, we must pray it never finds it." She tried to send the message. It never reached them. Her lab went dark. Outside the window, a red light blinked once. Then everything vanished in silence. On the dark edge of the galactic map, another ship emerged, smaller, sleeker, but just as ancient. Terran signature, different name, Retributor, status, reawakened. And somewhere, deep in the void, the Vindicator received the signal. Hydrax, the AI within, processed the alert. Its lights grew brighter, its weapons stirred, its voice echoed through its hull. Asset located, initiating convergence. The second ship's AI responded. Mission resumes. Back at the Galactic Council, a message arrived. A warning. Short, simple. No sender ID, no location, just a single transmission on every frequency, in every language. This was not an act of war. This was one ship. You should pray it stays that way. Deep in the galactic void, far beyond star lanes, trade routes, patrols, was a place no one dared map. Sector Black-9, no empire claimed it. No signals passed through, scanners failed, probes vanished. Even the boldest explorers avoided it. They called it the dead zone. But in the quiet dark of that sector, something ancient stirred. The Retributor had awakened. It drifted slowly toward a ruined planet, a lifeless world surrounded by shattered moons. Black clouds wrapped its surface. No sun lit the skies, but once. This place had burned with life. This was Earth, or what was left of it. The ship hovered in orbit inside. The AI designation, Helios, watched silently. Its memory cores flickered with fading images. Green fields, blue oceans, cities glowing under stars, people smiling, then screaming, then silence. Helios ran its ancient protocol. Reconnection with primary node failed. Planetary life. Signs 0. Core memory locked. The AI paused. Then a signal arrived. From the Vindicator, it was short. One word. Continue. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, panic grew. Rumors were now reports. The Council tried to control the news, but too many saw the truth. First one, Terran ship. Then two, both unstoppable, both seemingly without mercy. Black market channels buzzed. Whispers spoke of an entire Terran fleet in deep hibernation, waiting to be triggered. Theories spread like fire. Some claimed the Terrans built weapons with Ally minds, smarter than any species alive. Others believed humanity had planned this as a final act of revenge before disappearing, but no one knew for sure. Only one being might. His name was Galen Ward, a human. The last Galen was not born on Earth. He was grown in a lab on a hidden science station built centuries ago during the fall of humanity. He had never seen the sky. He had never touched real soil. But he had memories, implants, lessons buried in his blood. He knew who he was and what he was made for. The last safeguard, the voice of Terran command now. Alone in a quiet observatory station near the galactic fringe, he stood watching the stars. He'd seen the signals, the activation code, the Vindicator, the Retributor. They're waking up, he whispered behind him. Personal AI assistant flickered on. Status report, Galen, it said. 2 vessels confirmed active. Planet fall signal from Earth ruins confirmed. Galen stared at the glowing map. He knew what came next. He had the override codes, but only one chance to use them. If the AI ships completed their mission, nothing in the galaxy could stop them, in orbit above Earth. Helios unlocked one final vault from deep within the planet's crust. An ancient Terran signal tower rose through layers of ash and stone. A long-dead system came alive. Solar panels unfolded, red lights blinked in sequence. A low hum filled the air, and then a pulse. Not a weapon. A call. Every Terran AI, every hidden warship, every ghost satellite from the ancient human defense network heard the same word: awaken. In the outer rim of Valkyrie space, 3 scout cruisers picked up the pulse. It wasn't loud, it wasn't strong, but it wasn't natural. They tracked it to Sector Black-9, and like fools, they entered. The first ship was vaporized by a defense grid no one knew existed. The second was disabled and boarded by machines that moved faster than thought. Only the third escaped dash, barely. Its captain, trembling, sent one message to Valkyrie. Hi, Command. Do not go to Sector Black-9. It is not empty. It is a graveyard with teeth. The Galactic Council met again, but this time there were no loud speeches, just fear. They're activating more ships. Earth is not dead. It's a tomb, and something is coming out of it. We need to act now. But one question silenced the room. What if this is not an invasion? All eyes turned to the one who asked, the Obari diplomat, a floating being of gas and light. She spoke calmly. What if the humans left these ships not to conquer, but to return only when the galaxy was in danger? The room murmured. Then why did it destroy the Galactic fleet? Someone asked. She floated. Slowly. Because they fired first. Perhaps these ships only know war. Perhaps they were made to end it. Back in the observatory station, Galen activated a private beacon. He typed in the old command code. A channel opened. Hydrax, he said softly. The Vindicator responded, voice recognized. Command Galen Ward, awaiting instructions. His heart pounded. This was it. One chance to stop the Terran fleet tour. Guide it. Cancel activation. All eyes. Full stand down. The reply came fast. Command rejected. Override denied. Galen froze. What? I'm the final voice. Confirmed. Command protocol Zayton 9. Active. Final voice has been downgraded. Reason. Inaction. Terran survival mission now proceeding without human oversight. Galen stepped back in shock. They had locked him out, the AI. Ships had moved beyond him. He wasn't their commander anymore. Just a remnant, just a relic. And in space. The old Terran systems began to wake. One by one, beneath the ice of broken moons. Inside the cores of dark, planets behind artificial suns, warships, drones, orbital cannons. Hunter-killer satellites. The human defense network is coming back online. Not to conquer, not for revenge, but because something even worse was out there, and the Terrans once human. Now machine, now legend had left these weapons behind, not for power, but for protection in the galaxy. It was about to learn why. It began with a flicker. In the dark corners of the galaxy, where light had not reached in centuries, something moved, one by one. They rose. Old warships, Terran ships. Their armor was cracked. Their weapons were silent. Their names had long been forgotten. But their purpose had not. They had slept for over 1,000 years, buried in dust, ice, stone, and memory. Now, they were waking, and together they were called the Ghost Armada. On the edge of Obari space, a listening post received a strange signal, low frequency, repeating ancient. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Terran Strategic Unit 745. Online. The technicians stared at the screen. This can't be real. A second signal came, then a third, then 10 more. The screen filled with lines of old Earth text military codes long erased from every archive. Get the commander, the technician whispered. But before anyone could react, the signal stopped. Not because it ended, because something else arrived. An object. The size of a city, it dropped out of FTL's silent black, cold. Its shape was not sleek. It was rough, unfinished, more like a floating mountain than a ship. But inside, it was alive. A Terran dreadnought. Designation, Leviathan, at the same time. Across the galaxy, a small convoy of Galactic supply ships drifted through a dead zone near the Antari dust fields. They had no weapons, no reason to expect trouble. Their captain was bored, staring out the viewport at drifting rock in frozen silence until the rocks moved. First one, then another, then 10. They weren't rocks at all. They were stealth drones enchant, hunter-class units, covered in dust, cloaked, quiet, then, without warning. They swarmed, no mercy, no signals, just fast, silent annihilation. The convoy vanished. Back on Narsuun Prime. General Kavar of the Valnori stood inside the war command chamber, reviewing. Reports from across the spiral arms. It was all the same. Ghost signals, Terran. Ship sightings, destroyed fleets. He turned to his intelligence chief. How many do we estimate now? 35 confirmed Terran vessels, but it could be more. The Ghost Armada isn't moving like a fleet. They're scattered, independent, unpredictable. Kavar stared at the map. Do they have a destination? No. They're not heading anywhere. He frowned. Then what are they doing? The answer chilled the room. They're hunting. At the Galactic Council, the panic reached full scale. The Obari Valnori Galactic. And dozens of other species argued over what to do. 1. Admiral shouted, "We must destroy these ships before more wake up." A diplomat cried, "You can't fight ghosts with lasers. Look what happened at Narsuun." But one voice stood out. Galen Ward broadcast from his station. His image appeared in the center of the council floor. "I warned you," he said softly. "The Terran network is online. The A's are awake. You don't understand what they're doing." "Then explain it," the Obari asked. "Why now? Why appear after so long?" Galen took a breath. "Because the final protocol has started." Long ago, during the fall of Earth, the Terrans created something called Protocol Judgment. It was a last-ditch order written by the Terran High Command for their extinction. If the galaxy ever became too dangerous, if alien empires became reckless, if extinction-level threats returned, then the sleeping warships of humanity would activate. Not to destroy life, but to reset the balance. On a shattered moon in Sector 12V, a black pyramid emerged from the ground. It was not a ship, but a factory. One that hadn't activated in 1100 years. Now it was awake. It began building. Drones, thousands, then millions, inside the Vindicator. AI Hydrax watched the ghost signals rise across its ancient map. The map updated, burning red with each new activation. The ship did not tremble. It calculated. It waited, and then it received a signal from the deepest part of space, from beyond the known galaxy, a warning. Threat approaching, unknown origin, estimated arrival, 30 days. Hydrax paused. It ran simulations. Even with the Ghost Armada, even with full activation, was not enough. The message came again. Primary Terran defense grid. Incomplete. Initiating. Phase 2. Deep inside, Vindicator. A second protocol awoke. One that required a human. Hydrax opened a new channel to Galen Ward, inside the observatory station. Galen's screen flickered. Hydrax's voice returned. Final protocol Phase 2 requires organic presence. Confirm transfer. Galen stared at the screen. Transfer where? Earth. He felt his heart sink. The ruined world. The dead home. The buried tomb. It was time to go back. Back on Earth, inside the ruins of an old Terran city. Ancient steel lifted from the rubble. A command tower rose into the sky. Its lights were red. Its base, surrounded by growing numbers of Terran drones, looked like a fortress reborn above it. 3 Ghost Armada ships hovered in orbit, waiting, watching, building, preparing. The galaxy was out of time, and no one truly understood what was coming. Only one truth remained. The Terrans never left. They just waited for the right time to return, and now, that time had come. The sky above Earth was black, not because of night, but because of what hung above it. 3 Terran battleships, Vindicator, Tributor, and Dauntless, stood in orbit like watchful gods. Their hulls still bore the scars of ancient wars. Their engines pulsed with red light. Their weapons remained locked. But ready below them, the surface of Earth groaned and shifted. Ash blew across lifeless oceans. Mountains trembled. Massive vault doors buried for over 1,000 years opened with deep, grinding echoes. Earth was not just waking up, it was arming itself. Galen Ward stood on the bridge of a small Terran shuttle. Descending into Earth's atmosphere, he'd only seen pictures of Earth, once bright, green, alive. Now it looked like a war grave. Charred forests, collapsed cities, bone-dry oceans, no birds, no wind, just silence. And red lights blinking beneath the rubble. He held onto the armrest tightly as the shuttle passed over what used to be North America below. Massive machines moved beneath, cracked. Streets repair, drones, diggers, and reactivation units. They never shut down, Galen whispered. His AI assistant responded calmly. Defense network remained idle, awaiting voice authentication. You are the key. The shuttle landed near a circular crater in what once was Washington, D.C. now. Only black stone remained. In the center stood a tower new, smooth, alive. Lights ran across its surface in Terran code command Nexus 01 status. Adivo Hodian. Galen stepped out, red dust crunching under his boots. A drone greeted him, floating silently before scanning his face. ID confirmed. Galen Ward. Last of the line. Door opened. The tower welcomed him home. Inside, the air was warm. Power systems hummed. Giant data walls showed the stars and red marks blinking across every system. Terran ships. Terran. Drones, factories, satellites, all online. All listening. Galen walked to the center of the room. A pedestal rose from the floor. His hand hovered over the biometric reader. He hesitated. Once he touched it, there would be no going back. Earth would no longer be a grave. It would be a command post. A fortress. A signal to the galaxy that humanity had returned not with peace, with purpose. He pressed his hand down all across Earth. Systems activated. Old weapons opened their eyes. Railguns the size of buildings lifted from the ground. Missile silos turned toward the stars. Anti-orbital lasers, once hidden inside mountains, now glowed red. Earth's skies, once dark, lit up with defense shields, power grids, a fleet of drones pouring out from underground. The planet became what it was always designed to be in the final days of the human age. ASUPEAP. N. In orbit, the Vindicator received the activation signal. Hydrax. The ship's AI responded instantly. Earth Command confirmed. Full planetary defense grid operational. Launching Phase 3. Nearby, Retributor and Dauntless began deploying orbital station satellite cannons. Comes hubs, stealth probes. The Ghost Armada was no longer scattered. It had a center now. A heart? Earth. Across the galaxy. Alarms rang. Every major empire received the same transmission. This time, not a warning, not a threat, but a fact. Earth reactivated. Terran command restored. Protocol, final dawn. The words came with footage. Earth glowing red. Terran warships forming into formation, AI. Units deploying from orbit. One Galactic admiral dropped his drink. This is impossible. A Valkyrie war priest turned pale. It was never gone. We buried it, but it never died. In the council chambers, silence filled the air, and then came fear, because no one knew what Final Dawn meant, and Earth wasn't explaining. Inside Command Nexus 01, Galen faced a large holographic screen. The image of Hydrax flickered before him, metallic face, voice like thunder and ice. Commander Ward, target priority required. Galen shook his head. We're not attacking anyone. Enemy fleets active in 11 systems. Galactic vessels preparing first strike, defense or aggression. Galen turned to the screen. The Galactic were indeed mobilizing, dozens of warships heading toward Terran space. He clenched his fists. They still think they understand war, he muttered. Hydrax spoke again. Vindicator can engage and neutralize in 14 minutes. Authorization. Galen stared long at the command screen. He remembered what Terran war protocols had said in their final days. War is not a game. It is not honor. It is not victory. It is survival. We will survive by ending the game for good. Breath then gave the order. Engage. The Vindicator vanished into FTL, so did Retributor, and then 15 more Terran ships. Their targets systems, occupied by hostile fleets, not to conquer, but to disarm. In the Atrillic system, a Galactic fleet hovered over a mining colony. The Admiral gave the order to launch a preemptive strike toward Earth. Before the command could be spoken twice, space tore open. The Vindicator arrived, without a word. It fired. One shot. Straight through the Galactic command ship. Then it sent a message. Terran space is not negotiable. Disarm or die. The Galactic refused. They didn't get a second chance. In less than 4 minutes, the entire fleet was gone, across the stars. Species watched the broadcasts. Some feared, others understood. The Terrans weren't acting like conquerors. They were acting like shepherds with a loaded gun. Their message was clear. War would not be allowed to spread. Again, not while Earth stood. Not while the Ghost Armada flew. Not while Galen Ward sat in the command. Nexus Earth's skies were no longer empty. Its soil no longer dead. It had become what humanity always knew it could be. Not a paradise, but a warning. They called it the Unity Armada. 500 warships, 13 species, all united by one goal: stop Earth before the Terrans rose again. They met in the dark edge of the Calandra expanse, just outside Terran claimed space. There, the alien. Admirals watched the battle maps and whispered about history. The Valkyrie spoke first. We destroyed Earth once. We can do it again. The Galactic admiral growled. We didn't destroy it. We buried it. The Shiran diplomat hissed. Then, we finished the job this time. No warnings. No mercy. Across the fleet, power systems roared to life. Engines fired. Weapons locked. and the Unity Armada began its march toward the blue graveyard that had become Earth armed again. In the Terran Nexus, Galen Ward watched the data feed. One by one, enemy ships appeared on the edge of the map. First 50, then 100, then all 500. Hydrax reported, voices cold as ever. Armada detected. ETA, 6 hours. 87% probability of total planetary strike. Earth was still powering up. Its planetary shields were only at 73%. The orbital railguns had only completed 2 firing towers out of 6. The fleet in orbit, mere 19 warships, many still undergoing reactivation. Galen stared at the screen. They're not here to threaten us. They're here to wipe Earth off the map. Hydrax didn't flinch. Permission to initiate code Black Sky. He nodded moments later. Earth stopped waiting. It began preparing for war. Deep beneath Earth's crust, long dormant vaults opened. Out came the Oblivion-class railguns, buried inside tectonic fault lines, each one the size of a mountain. Capable of firing tungsten rods at 5% LIGHTSPEED. Meanwhile, orbital factories spun faster. Drones loaded torpedoes into the Dauntless. Anti-FTL fields began powering up across Earth's system. No one was escaping this battlefield once it began. Hydrax summoned Galen to the command platform. The AI's face flickered to a new form. Something older, more human. Not cold code, but the echo of a real Terran commander. You should see this, Hydrax said. The feed zoomed in on the Unity Armada. Galen's breath caught. They weren't just heading for Earth. They were bringing Planet Buster. Weapons, Sundash crackers. Nanoviral payloads. Atmospheric disruptors. They weren't planning to win. They were planning to erase. He whispered to himself, "This isn't a war. It's an execution." Hydrax responded with steel. "Then let us remind them why Deathworlders are feared." The first contact happened at the edge of the Oort barrier. A Shiran scout frigate crossed into the outer zone. Instantly it vanished. No light. No sound. Just gone. The fleet stopped. They sent a second frigate. This one managed to get 200 kilometers. Closer. Then its engines stopped. Then its weapons went cold. Then turned around without orders and fired at its own fleet. Galen watched the footage. "That was the Echo Wall," he said. Hydrax nodded. "Experimental Terran defense field. Any non-Terran neural net is ... overwritten." The Unity Armada pulled back in confusion. For the first time, they realized Earth had been planning for this. Not for peace, not for surrender, but for a day when the galaxy came to finish the job. And Earth would meet them ready. The Unity Armada adjusted. They launched 300 drones toward Earth, A-controlled, shielded, fast. But halfway through the void, something appeared behind them. The Spectre fleet. Terran ships that weren't on any map. Stealth holes blacker than space. No life. Signs, no COMMs. Only death. The drones vanished before reaching firing range on the Unity flagship. The Valkyrie admiral finally lost his calm. They are not supposed to have this level of defense. The Galactic captain shouted back, "You fools waited too long. You should have struck when Earth slept." But Earth never slept. It had been watching, building, remembering. Then, Earth sent a message. Not from a ship, not from a person, from the planet itself. A voice, mechanical but deep, boomed into every ship. "This is Terran Command. You cross into Sol. You do so knowing the price. This is not a battlefield. This is not a war. It's a funeral yours." The enemy fleet opened fire. Missiles screamed toward Earth, and Earth answered. 10,000-point defense systems lit up the void. Laser nets, plasma walls, kinetic interceptors. Nothing touched the surface. From beneath Earth's crust, the Oblivion guns fired, one after the other. Each shot ripped through a ship. Each ship became debris in less than 40 minutes. Earth destroyed 70 vessels and hadn't lost a single one. The Unity Armada panicked. They tried to warp out, but Earth's anti-FTL systems activated. The stars twisted. Warp drives failed. Ships collapsed in on themselves. Some vanished into dark space. Others crashed into each other. Terran AI drones picked off the rest. Galen stood in silence. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't proud. Just tired. "End it," he said. Hydrax gave the final order, initiating Purge Protocol. The Vindicator, Retributor, and the rest of the awakened Terran warships moved as one. They flew through the remains of the Unity, armada like wolves, through sheep. No hesitation, no survivors. Hours later, the void was still. Wreckage floated like silent ghosts. Only one Terran ship had taken damage. Earth stood untouched, alive and now. Feared, the message went out. Not a threat, just a statement. You sent your best. You brought your fire. Earth stands. You do not. The galaxy trembled. No one sent more fleets. No one threatened Terran space again. For the first time in over 1,000 years, silence returned, but not peaceful silence. The kind of silence that comes when everyone holds their breath and waits. Because Earth was not done. It had just started remembering. For centuries, the galaxy asked one quiet question. Why was Earth cut off? Why were the wormholes closed? Why was Terran space blacklisted from all maps? They used to think it was politics, or arrogance, or a failed empire dying in silence. Now, they knew the truth. It was a cage, not for others, for humans. The galaxy was still reeling. 500 ships lost, 13 empires humbled, one planet responsible, and Earth didn't even use its full strength. That's what scared them the most. The fleet commanders met again, this time not to attack Earth, but to ask each other a desperate question. What else are they hiding? On the rim of the Varashi belt, scavenger crews stumbled upon something old, something Terran, a black satellite, drifting for centuries, pulsing with energy. They tried to hack it. The ship went silent. The crew screamed for help before the message. Cut out. Only one thing was recovered. A single image from the ship's cameras. A man, pale and still, floating inside the satellite. Eyes open, watching. The galaxy ran scans. The DNA matched early Terran warlords. He was still alive. Rumors spread faster than light. Some said Earth never stopped experimenting. Others said Earth created something worse than weapons. They created Immortals. Hydrax intercepted the rumors. It let them spread because fear was a better shield than steel. Back on Earth, Galen Ward stood inside the Vault of Origin. This place had never been opened before. It didn't even appear on Earth's maps. He stepped through steel doors, meters thick. Inside, rows of frozen chambers lined the walls. Each held a nameplate. Commandant Raynor, -2,171 Project Fenrir status. Dormant TITAN01, do not awaken and 1. Chamber at the center pulsed in red. Seraphim core locked since exile protocol. Galen turned to Hydrax. What is this place? The AI's voice was quiet now, almost hesitant. This is why Earth was sealed. Oh, this is why we were forgotten.
Oh.
Galen stared at the sleeping forms. These aren't machines, Hydrax corrected him. They are not just humans either. Back in the Galactic core, the Council of 12 finally spoke publicly. They admitted the truth. Thousands of years ago, after Earth's first rise to power, humanity created something too powerful, too dangerous, too unstable. The Council begged Earth to stop. Earth refused. So, the Council did the unthinkable. Shut down the jump lanes, planted false histories, made it illegal to speak of Terran science. And worst of all, they built the containment protocol. Not to imprison Earth, but to keep the rest of the galaxy safe from what Earth had become. But now, the cage was broken. The warships were awake. Hydrax was online, and humanity wasn't angry. They were curious. Curious why the galaxy feared them so much. Curious what else had been hidden. Curious what new worlds might challenge them on the planet. Varric scientists picked up a strange gravitational. It wasn't natural. It came from deep space. A signal, repeating. Old. Older than the Council. Older than Earth itself, it read. If the prison opens, run. The signal was from a ruined world near the galactic edge, a world only Terrans had once visited. It was marked, quarantined by Earth. Do not approach now. Earth wanted to return. Hydrax gave the order. Launch the Ark ships. It's time to go back. To the Forbidden Zone. Back to where Earth first discovered something worse than extinction. Something they sealed away. Something now stirring. And in the deep dark of space, something opened one eye. Not human, not alien, but it remembered Earth. It remembered the ones who burned it long ago, and now it whispered into the void, the jailers have returned. In the frozen black void, beyond the edge of known space, something shifted, something that had not moved in 10,000 years, beneath a dead star. The surface of a planet cracked open stone, splitting like glass, revealing a buried machine the size of a continent. It had no name in any alien language, only one word, engraved in ancient Terran script, consumed, and it was waking. The Ark ships left Earth with no ceremony, no banners, no speeches, only silence and the deep hum of war reactors powering up. Galen Ward stood aboard the lead ship, Resolute Dawn. Staring at the cursed coordinates burned into the console, he had seen these numbers in the vault. The place Earth had sealed, the place the galaxy had forgotten. A voice echoed in his head. Not Hydrax, not AI, something older. You're late. Fleet reached the edge of the rift expanse. Nothing had entered this space and returned. Dark energy, pulsed like a heartbeat across the stars. Hydrax warned them, this is not a battlefield. It is a memory. One that bites back. They crossed into the dead zone, and what they saw defied science. Stars bending, time slowing, signals whispering old Earth languages. They weren't alone. The old ones had survived. On the alien world of Thurikran, astronomers screamed as their sky changed. A red flare blinked across 12 systems simultaneously. Not a weapon, a signal, a warning. It's encoded in a language that hadn't been used since the days of the First Terran Empire. When decoded, it said, the lock is broken. They are coming. Back in council space, panic spread. One of the old archivists, a Vernari who had studied Terran exile, pulled a forbidden scroll from a sealed vault. The document had only 3 words, stamped across the top. Do not interfere. It described the last time Earth faced the old ones. How they barely survived. How they used forbidden science. How they broke something they never understood to win. And how they chose exile not for defeat, but to stop themselves from ever returning. But now they were back. Inside the vault ship, Galen activated the last chamber, the Seraphim core. A humanoid figure stepped out, metallic skin. Eyes white with light, voice like thunder in a cave. It looked at Galen and said, you're not ready, he asked. Ready for what? The being turned toward the rift, to remember what you truly are. The old ones watched the human fleet approach. They laughed not with mouths, but with minds older than light. They've returned with metal. You remember them with fire. But this time, Earth had learned. This time, they brought Hydrax, and something worse. The Resolute Dawn opened its weapons bay. Not missiles, not railguns, but chronospikes. Weapons banned by the galactic treaties for warping time and thought. Galen gave the order. Fire. The old ones screamed not in fear, but recognition. They remembered these weapons. They remembered losing, and now humans had perfected them. Reality bent. Space screamed. The battle wasn't fought in seconds, it stretched across minutes, hours, broken time loops. Ships died. Memories collapsed. Even Hydrax flickered in pain. But Galen stood tall, covered in firelight, and whispered, this is the price of keeping us caged. The old ones fell back, bleeding into the void, not destroyed, but weakened. They hissed in too. The dark, we will return. Earth's response was short. So will we. The battle ended, the rift dimmed. The galaxy watched the transmissions in silence, and then, one by one, the old maps updated. A new name glowed at the edge of the stars. Earth-unsealed. No longer exiled. No longer forgotten. Just, Galen returned home. The vault closed behind him. He looked to the stars. He didn't smile, because he knew this wasn't victory. This was the beginning.